Rage. This is Rasslin Rage. Cody Fleming is the man who leads the brigade. It's going down. This is Rasslin Rage. We'll do it now. This is Rasslin Rage. This is Rasslin Rage. Cody Fleming is the man who leads the brigade.
And now it's time for Rasslin Rage with your host, Cody Fleming.
Hey everybody, it is Cody here from Rasslin Rage and Michigan Independent Weekly. I am joined by some new folks to Rasslin Rage, but we have Davison and Mark here from IPW. I am going to ask them some questions about IPW and a few other things. But before I do that, please make sure that you smash the thumbs up. You subscribe if you haven't already. And definitely check out the Rasslin Rage Pro Wrestling Tees site where you can buy some awesome T-shirts. Specifically, the new one of me hitting Josh with the ring bell. You got to buy that one because that's the best one so far. But
that's great.
Right. We also have a group on Facebook where we share all the information about Michigan Independent Wrestling. So make sure you head down to the description, click that link, head on over there, join the group, and that way you know everything that's going on in Michigan currently. So, hello and welcome to the show, both of you.
Hey!
What up? Thanks for having us, man. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Now, you got to excuse my ignorance here, okay? Because I'm not very familiar with IPW. I know some things about IPW, but, you know, this where your next show is at, it's like 3 hours away from me. That's a hike.
Well, for you, see, this is the funny thing to me, and this is part of the reason we were stoked to be on your show, is we'd have a true story in Michigan of like East Side, West Side.
Right.
We have a lot of East Sides come to our spot. We have some of our folks come over there, but then as far as like the feds go, like, I don't know. It seems like East Side's just not that familiar with West Side stuff.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So like Pawpaw's maybe a half an hour from Kalamazoo,
right,
where we're centered. But yeah, anywhere from like an hour around, we do like Pawpaw, Battle Creek, Kalamazoo, Grand Rapids. Where were we? Jones, like down by Indiana the other weekend.
Yeah, it was pretty close.
Yeah, and see, all those places are pretty far for me because I'm in the thumb. You know, that's how you know you're. That's how you know you're from Michigan. I give you a part of my hand and say, "Hey, I'm from there." Right? I'm from the metacarpal. No, really, I'm from the thumb. I'm actually right on St. Clair River, actually. So I'm a little bit further north than Detroit. So we're here to talk a little bit about IPW and, you know, things coming up. I know you guys have an event coming up this weekend, which we talked about Tuesday on MIW, but give me a little, you know, input on IPW because like I know about XICW. I know about all these other places on this side of the state, but I don't really know a lot about IPW. So give me a little bit on like how it was started, what's the vision and, you know, the creation of.
Yeah. Mark, do you want to go? Or you want me to?
Yeah. Well, from what we gathered from Josh, you know, he started this off a couple of years ago. And this was really, but they were mainly doing charity shows. I think it was a lot of guys that Josh had grown to know really well because Josh is a over 20-year veteran in professional wrestling.
Josh Raymond. You got to remember, we're talking to East Side people. They don't know our ways.
Well,
I know Josh. I know Josh because he was in Proving Ground, so I know him.
Right. Formerly,
formerly,
Josh Abercrombie, Billy Bong, whole bunch of awesomeness. But
House of Truth, Ring of Honor, AAA, Germany. I mean, come on now.
Yeah, he's been all over the world, and he basically started this to a lot of fundraisers that they did, a lot of city gatherings. If there was a lot of cities will have these big festivals where it's just celebrating the town. And so that's a lot of what they did. In fact, there was a lot of athletes who worked for him a couple of years ago that we had never met, guys like Jake Oman, who we had only met a couple of weeks ago. But he was actually the former IPW champion way back in 2018, 2019. So a lot of these guys used to work for him back in the day. Some of them have trained with them and ultimately ended up being regulars in IPW. So it wasn't until last year that he started working with Terry Van Avery, who was Davison, isn't he like 10 years in MMA?
Yeah, he was a pro for 10 years. He started young, like 18, 19. I don't know exactly how he and Josh met, but it was really fortuitous because Josh was just starting to run IPW shows in town. Terry was the general manager of a really cool bar locally called the Y Bar. It's not so cool anymore. They just had some shit go down. Not so cool, but it used to be. But so yeah, there was like some of the earlier shows, like the first 4 or 5 shows, I think were from that bar. And they're super fun. I don't know if you've seen any of that footage, Cody, but like 200, 250 people packed into a bar, like 6 rows deep on every side. It was pretty wild.
Yeah, I seen some of the footage from some of the things when DTA were there. You know, Alex Weir, weaponized Alex Weir, is actually one of my instructors in karate.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah, you know, he's a master and I'm a second degree, but he was one of my trainers. His father trained me, his mother trained me, his sister trained me. He trained me as well. So
that guy literally
the
is
Heart House over there, the dungeon.
right. I was gonna say that guy literally is weaponized. No joke on that guy's end. He is so talented.
Yeah.
But yeah, so a lot of these guys basically had stayed true to Josh. And again, guys have not been able to press enough that, you know, when I tell them that we're training with Josh and that, you know, just working for him, they're like, I don't think you could, you know, he's like, there's a lot of great people in Michigan, but he's one of the best. Because he takes care of his guys. His shows are great. There's no BS. There's no drama. The main question, you know, he asks after every event is, did you have fun? And that's the most important thing is that's really what wrestling's all about is having fun.
Absolutely.
What I think is cool about it too, like Cody, you're probably familiar with, this is a shout out to my friend Chris from Toledo, Ruthless Pro Wrestling.
Oh,
IPW.
absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. We were talking a minute ago and like, would you say that the flavor of their shows, like the kind of like dark and like dingy, that feels representative of like Detroit wrestling?
Yeah.
Right? Like, yeah. West Side is more IPW. It almost has more of like an old school vibe.
You know,
like you're going to see more like families and kids.
Right. And I felt that because you guys, I don't remember the name of it right off the top of the head, but you guys do like a review show where you review the past event and it's you and him talking. And I was listening to that and it had that old school NWA feel to it, the whole thing, the music in the background, you guys going back and forth about what's going on. And I'm like, man, I really like this. I really dug it. You're welcome.
Yeah, we do the insider basically after every show to kind of, you know, because you have hardcore fans who are watching the full event. And then even so before the event, just to catch up, because really IPW is about keeping that storyline. And I think that helps as well. When you're dealing with independent wrestling, you're dealing with dudes who are working all over the state, sometimes country. So making sure that you connect those dots and keep the fans looped in on everything, I feel is important, especially in storytelling. So, but
I don't
yeah,
think Josh would mind me saying so, but like Mark mentioned it a minute ago, and we can get into it later if you want, but Mark and I are actually training to wrestle as well. Like,
oh, no shit.
Getting kind of close. Been doing that with Josh. Yeah.
Nice.
But it's funny because again, there's a couple shows coming up in a couple of weeks here where Jimmy Jacobs is going to be on 2 spots over here.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen that.
Like, yeah, the last show we had back in March, like, this is what's funny to me about folks on the East Side not knowing what we're doing. Our last show before the pandemic featured Jake Christ versus Jimmy Jacobs. Rahit from Impact was there wrestling against our champion, Karam at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Malice was there at the end. Truth Martini was there. Like, we've had Alex Shelley on shows.
Right.
Jake something showed up. Yeah, that was huge.
He was a former champion. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just, I think sometimes that's what happens is we get like tucked away here. We share a lot of the same people, but our flavor is really different on this side versus what's kind of going on that side. I wonder if that's part of why it doesn't get considered as much.
Well, I mean, I know that my flavor is I'm a big XICW guy and everybody knows that, but it's hard. It's let's go right now. And there's a lot of craziness going on. So, and I get that, what you're saying. So it could be that, But there are some old school, like BCWA over here. They're in Wyandotte. They're pretty family friendly. They kind of do what you're talking about too.
Yeah.
You know, we had everybody knows, because we went through this section here where there was no wrestling for a while because of this pandemic, right? You know, everybody's getting sick and so on and so forth. Some places flourished, some places not so much, but IPW, you guys have a little something that you did through COVID where you guys were releasing video footage of past matches and things like that. So it kind of kept the flavor alive.
Yep.
How hard was it during COVID to keep things going and keep everybody in a positive mindset?
I mean, I can speak to that somewhat. Mark had an injury and had to stop training for a couple months, and I was kind of trying to tough it out, but I got to know them a little bit more during that time. Josh was stressing. I mean, like everybody was stressing, especially because our momentum was really taking off.
Right.
We definitely talked about ways to get into like monetizing some of the content. I made the joke. I thought it would have been really hot to do an OnlyFans page specifically for IPW. Not even sex content, just for the, just for the zing. But yeah, he was doing a lot of reaching out to the wrestlers just to keep them motivated. People were still coming to training, but I overheard wrestlers talking about like, I might need to move on. I don't know when I'm going to make money again. I might have to go get another career.
Just some people did.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So, I mean, the stress was there, but I think that might be a thing with Josh as well. He calls his shows like old, I don't know, like America's Got Talent, for example. There's the fun match. There's going to be a ladies match. There's going to be a tag team match. The main event's going to be more like a serious pay-per-view type style match. We've had bloody matches. He had that ladder match with Aaron O'Ryan back at High Stakes.
Oh, God.
So, I mean, we got a little bit of everything. But I don't know. It was just like we decided, again, with that old school thing, what did companies do? And so we started doing some of the vignettes. Cody, did you see that ridiculous mental wellness video that we did?
Yes, I did. I did see that. Mark,
can I just say,
wait.
How stoked I am. There was the fucking snake pit, there's Piper's pit, and now there's the mental wellness task force.
There you go. I like it. Mark, what about you? Was there anything that you were, I don't know if you were stressing, but I mean, you obviously, you have a career in radio, it looks like there. So surely you were essential.
Well, I mean, like I said, I started training last year, and then it was like right around the same time I started not feeling well. My knee was really messing with me. I wasn't really protecting it a whole bunch. Since then, I've had it looked at professionally, and there's nothing wrong with this, and I'm just being overprotective of it. But yeah, last September I got COVID, and that really messed me up mentally to the point where back in like right after that, I had continuous heart palpitations every day, all day for like 2 months. And I was in a bad mental place. It just, and I think COVID did that to a lot of people, because all you hear about is the doom and gloom, and being trapped in my house for a week and a half was just not good. Especially since I'm a people person too. But as soon as I got over that hump and life kind of came together rather quickly this year and made up for all the crap that I went through last year. And now I'm in a completely different place. Things are going good. And I knew once, and regardless of however anybody feels about it, I knew I was going to get the vaccine, because I knew I was going to be able to get out and do what I love again, and not have that thing in the back of my mind. Because again, I'm so used to seeing people being negative and living in fear. And it's like, I'm done living in fear. Like I'm done doing this. It's not healthy for me. What works for me maybe doesn't work for somebody else, and that's cool. That's none of my business. But since then, and since things are starting to open up again, I'm excited, because like she said, there was so much steam picking up towards it. Cause we discovered Josh back in
like December 19th.
Yeah, it was December, because my buddy Jake over here said it showed up on his Facebook that he was interested in IPW High Stakes. And I was like, what the heck is that? And I was like, oh, it's at the Y Bar. I was like, I didn't know Kalamazoo had a wrestling federation. Then I went to their Facebook page, went back a little bit, and I was like, they've already had an event there. They had actually 2 events there. One was called Bronco Battles, which there's very limited footage of. That was back in September, I believe. And then they did Grave Danger in October, which is the first event that's on there. So they didn't have a commentary team. So when we brought Josh in to be on our podcast, we were just kind of like, beforehand, we were like, hey, so you got a commentary team? And he did, but he didn't. And it was kind of one of those situations where,
Right.
He had nothing solidified, but he saw, he's in the freaking radio station and he's thinking, I think I might take this opportunity to see what they got. And it was fun. It was right off the rip. I mean, he invited us, we went out to High Stakes and he called me on the way there and he's like, hey, can you do ring announcing for me? I was like, yep, I got you. Cause I already did that with a promotion in Detroit that used to exist. I did ring announcing a couple times for them. And, so for me, it was no big deal. But it was huge that right off the bat, he trusted me with that. And then we basically went back, did commentary for the events. And starting basically right then and there, we were like, all right, we're a part of this. And
So we went back and redid commentary. And by the way, we're not talking shit. Smarking Down, I believe. Cool dudes, got along with them. I guess there's just some compatibility thing with Josh. I don't know. But so we went backwards and did our commentary back. And then I think the first live thing we did, we went to the High Stakes and then we did commentary for Valor in February. And then it was Tough Luck in March. And that was off the fucking chain. Yeah. Mark, I'm going to brag about it again because I can't stop. That was a show Jimmy Jacobs was on. Mark was in the ring doing ring announcing because he has to wear 10 hats at once. And Jimmy Jacobs walked by and joked like he was going to grab the commentary, like the headset next to me. Wrong. I fucking grabbed him and pulled him into the chair, put the headset on him. Did commentary for a match. It was Roger Lanier versus Truth's guy. I can't remember what Truth's wrestler was at that show, but
Damon Chambers.
Yeah, there you go. Yep.
Yeah.
I was just dying.
It was so cool. It really is cool.
It's
and Jimmy
amazing.
Jacobs, you've met him before. I mean,
it's amazing how
chill.
smart he is with the business, dude. He's like,
oh my God,
dude, he's amazing.
And he and Josh trained together. They're
right.
Yeah.
He's an amazing guy. And I met him, the first time I had met him was directly within the moment that he was able to compete after being with WWE or do whatever he could do. That's when I met him. And it was when he got with Impact Wrestling and he was in Detroit. And it was cool to just sit there and I got to talk to him. And what I really love is he's so open to do things that, that got him fired. And he's like, hey, you want to take a pose just like that? Give me your camera. I'll do it. And he's a really cool guy. Yeah, absolutely. Now, so COVID comes in, you guys, you're pre-COVID, you guys get into this thing, but now COVID comes, things kind of flatline a little bit. You guys get creative. You do your thing. Now here we are. Things are starting to open back up slowly but surely. Events are starting to happen. I see you guys, you got 2 events this month. One coming up this weekend, and then you guys got one coming up on the 27th, which is the one you were talking about with Jimmy Jacobs coming in again. Now is coming back in. And knowing that there's precautions and there's all these things, going back to work, right? For myself, I work in a factory, and when I went back into work, and there was everything was new, everything had changed. Got to wear a mask, you got to stay 6 feet. There's got to be all these things done. Got to take your temperature before you come in the door. I got to fill out a waiver. I got all this crap, right? How stressful is it for you and for anybody that's in the organization that has something to do with the planning to make sure all those things align so that you guys can have these events?
I mean, I'll start, Mark, if you don't mind, but I guess that's another element with Josh being pretty old school. Josh undoubtedly runs IPW, owns and runs. Terry helps him run, and then Mark and I are taking on various jobs, as do the other wrestlers and stuff like that. But as it pertains to Josh's stress level, man, he just he keeps it right close to his chest.
Yeah.
But so what I can tell you about our shows thus far is like our first show back was at Full Blast in Battle Creek, big facility. So we were able to space chairs out in little clusters for people. Then I think our next show was like 2 weeks after, where we were starting to relax some of the masking stuff. And that's when we ran Paw Paw for the first time, which is also a really big facility. At that one, we were just suggesting masks if you want. And if you're uncomfortable being around people, there's all this space for you. I would say as much fun as the Battle Creek show was, I think Paw Paw was really like our big back. Like that was us being back, in my opinion.
That's why, that's why I'm excited that we're going to be back there for Forged in Fire this Saturday. Cause I think it was the biggest show we had ever had. It was a prime location. I think Josh, growing up in the next town over in Lawton, was a huge draw as well. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's too stressful because, well, and again too, where I work, if you're not on air, you're working at home. So like there was nobody here for months. So like I didn't have to worry about seeing a bunch of people. We had to fill out an online survey basically every single day, like you were saying. And that basically has ended. So basically unless you've gotten your vaccine, you still have to fill one out. But basically I showed my card to my boss and she was like, all right, you're straight. You don't have to worry about it. So, and I think at this point, I mean, with the numbers, I think a lot of people have gotten it. So personally, I'm not too concerned because the numbers are trending well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's the positive thing, regardless of how anybody feels. Numbers going down is good news because we all get to do the things we love. So, yeah.
I'll just say real quick though, going back to when I was doing training in the summer. I mean, that was in August, and that was like prime COVID months, right?
Yeah.
I think I talked to you, Mark, and I definitely talked to some of my friends. I do things the way I do them. And I was like, you hear skydivers say they hope they die on a skydive, and you hear shark swimmers say they want to get eaten by a shark. Yeah. I was like, if I die by COVID because I'm learning how to fucking wrestle, then I guess I'll die of COVID learning how to fucking wrestle. Right. That's my shark swim. You know what I mean?
Right. What a way to go. Hey, fuck it. Right.
I mean, I didn't want to go, but right. That's kind of that was my philosophy, frankly.
No, and I totally get that. Fuck it. Let's go. Right. Now coming into this, here we are. You guys got, I see you guys got this tournament coming up.
Yeah. Yeah. So we got big things. So last year there was a lot of change with the Death Threat Army. There was a lot of things happening. Karam split from the Death Threat Army at I think it was High Stakes. Yep. And that was when Jack Price and Tommy Vendetta lost to the Grey Wolves. So they lost their tag belts to the Grey Wolves. Karam was kind of the reason that happened as well. And then the next event, Karam actually took the title, the IPW title, off of Jack Price. So 2 back-to-back events, Jack Price lost his belt.
In fact, he's now lost 5 in a row since then.
Yeah. Ooh. So, which is crazy to think about because when we entered, he was top dog. And so he's seen some struggles lately, but what happened was, Karam had defended his title successfully against Malice at Tough Luck. And then during COVID, Karam got injured. I think he had a training injury. So that basically dropped the title. So we were figuring out, okay, what do we do? Of course, we've got Aaron Orion, who's been the Michiana champion for about 3 years now. So yeah, we started with the IPW interim IPW Grand Prix tournament, and it's going to dwindle down to 8 people. And so far we've got Xavier Walker going up against Josh Raymond. Derek Wolf is taking on Jamal King. Ren Jones is either going to take on Tommy Vendetta or Jason Page. They're wrestling this Saturday to determine who the 8th spot is going to be.
Do you know Jason Page from Big Facts? He was recently on AEW. He wrestled as Jason Botch. No, Hotch. God, it wasn't Botch. Hotch.
Yes.
Fucking certainly wasn't Botch. Yeah. He looked fantastic.
Right.
And then we also have, and then Aaron Orion actually at Back on Track successfully defended his Michiana championship and made it into the tournament when he beat Jake Oman. And as a total surprise, Felix Morio, he's a local fan favorite over here. He pulled out the Battle Royal win. So he's going to go one-on-one with Aaron Orion in the first round. So
Not
Yeah,
something I want to do.
If I may, really quickly, and you wouldn't mind me saying this either, I don't think. Felix Morio is a homegrown talent from West Michigan. He's got blue trunks with like jet skis on the side.
Yeah.
He has qualified for this tournament somehow. However, he has contacted my office. As you know, I am the chairwoman of IPW's Mental Wellness Task Force. He's been having some feelings of like insecurity, abandonment issues. Turns out he may be on the path to trying to find out who his father was. He never knew his father. If you've never seen him, Mark, how would you describe him?
I don't know. Like if I had to think of what his dad looked like, I would have to say probably somebody who was a little rugged looking, like scrangly, brownish, blondish hair, maybe a scruffy beard. The blue trunks really appeal to me for some reason. I look at him and I see Felix Morio and I'm like, he looks like he's got the grittiness of a handsaw, just.
I heard his mom used to work at Waffle House and that she was a little bit of a rat.
There's unconfirmed rumors. Like we've heard unconfirmed rumors that his father may be a wrestler who was well known in the 80s. So, and when you take a look at, you take a look down the roster and you're like, man, who could it be? There's only one person that really pops into mind, but
all I want to say is no matter what comes of this, you will never hear me say that his mother is a hoe. Never.
So we'll see. We'll see. We're actually going to be digging this. We're going to be uncovering this in the upcoming months because, something's got to be solved here. Absolutely. But he made it into the tournament. So like I said, he's got to face Aaron O'Ryan in the first round. So I'm like, bro, good luck. Thoughts and prayers for real. So it's definitely going to be huge. Again, we don't know what the outcome of this is going to be, obviously, because we've got an all-star lineup for this tournament. I mean, regardless if it's Jason Page or Tommy Vendetta, I mean, it's going to be huge. And of course, we got Derek Wolf, who has been, he's been pretty vocally active, especially towards me and on our podcast. But
Cody, are you familiar with Derek Wolf?
No, I am not that familiar with him. I am not, and it sucks because I hear you guys talk about him. I need to watch some film.
Don't listen to a fucking thing Mark says about him. Mark is jealous. Mark is insecure. Mark doesn't know what it is to be a success. He's not even in a studio. That's a bunch of bullshit. That's a green screen. He's in his mom's basement.
Yeah.
It's not real. Derek Wolf is real. Derek Wolf's success is real. Derek Wolf is the most successful human being that has ever graced professional wrestling, and he's an exclusive to IPW.
Well, Derek Wolf came in and, trial by combat, he was wrestling Jimmy Hype Showen, and
that's something to say 3 times fast.
Yeah.
Jimmy
Hype Showen. So Jeremiah, our ref, was on the apron. Derek Wolf came in, charged at Hype Showen. Hype moved. Wolf was able to contain himself and hold himself. Well, then Hype ran at Derek. Derek moved out of the way, kind of looked like he gave him a little nudge and threw Jeremiah right through our announce table.
That's exactly what I'm talking about, Cody. No, that's not at all what the fuck happened. What happened is Derek Wolf has better reflexes than any cat you ever met in your life, franchise. And so when he was standing in front of the referee and didn't want to touch him, he could tell Showen was coming because he's got spidey senses. He could tell he was coming, so he got out of the way. Showen, being the asshole that he is, pushed the referee through a table, and everybody's running around saying, Wolf, 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 Wolf.
Well, and then we go to IPW Pandemonium like a couple weeks later, and Jeremiah's back in action. Jimmy Hype Showen was not in attendance, and he's got a neck brace on, and the entire match,
Woo! No!
Wow.
What? Get
Speak
the
of the
fuck out
devil.
of here.
Hey, so somebody just showed up, and
That's not somebody.
how you doing?
For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Derek Wolf, and I need everybody to shut your mouth because I have something that I need to say. See, I just finished a very important meeting with my investors, and I've got one last piece of business that I need to attend to before I head home for the night. And I figured what better platform than to do it than right here. So sit back, listen up, because Derek Wolf needs to get some stuff off of his chest. I am the most successful person in the IPW locker room. That's both in the business world and in the wrestling ring. My name radiates success, and I continue to do night after night exactly what I say that I am going to do. I step into the ring. It does not matter who the opponent is. I kick their ass from one corner to the next, and I pin them 1, 2, 3, game, set, match. My win-loss record speaks for itself. I am undefeated since IPW has been running post-pandemic. And frankly, I'm just the best that there is in the IPW locker room. But I continue to be disrespected show after show after show by IPW management, by IPW commentary. That's right, Mark. I'm looking at you. You continue to hype all of these other so-called wrestlers, people like Aaron O'Ryan, the supposed face of Independence Pro Wrestling, or Josh Raymond. Matter of fact, Josh Raymond was all over the flyer for the IPW Back on Track show, and he didn't even wrestle. He didn't even show up. He wasn't even on the card that night, but they continued to promote him. You continue to talk about him on commentary. It's disgusting. Another example is Jamal King. Jamal King, supposed Mr. Chainsaw champion. That's great. What has he done in IPW? Not much. Matter of fact, he was supposed to have a match with me at IPW Pandemonium. This was going to be an IPW Grand Prix qualifying match, and he didn't even show up. And rather than disqualifying him from the tournament, they gave him another opportunity at another show. It's disgusting.
That pissed me off.
It's disgusting. Shut up. I'm not done talking. It's disgusting. I continue to show up show after show after show. I continue to win show after show after show. And rather than put me on the flyer, or rather than talk about me on commentary, we're talking about all these other wrestlers. So now Jamal King got a second chance. And of course he won his match. Big whoop, I could have kicked that kid's ass too. And they gave me some kind of wannabe wrestler, LaDon Sanders, some poser, I don't know. And of course I did exactly what I said I was going to do, kicked his ass too. And I moved forward into the Grand Prix qualifying match. And now I have a match with Jamal King in a couple weeks, and it's going to be me kicking his ass. It's going to be me coming up on top, me being the successful one. But let's continue to hype Jamal King. Let's continue to talk about him on commentary. It's disgusting. Things need to change around here. Matter of fact, things will change around here. It's going to be my face on the flyers. It's going to be me that you're talking about on commentary, Mark. Your name's not franchise, you're Mark. You're not a franchise. You haven't earned the title franchise. Your name's Mark. So it's going to be me that you're talking about on commentary, Mark. And it's going to be my name on the Independence Pro Wrestling Championship at the end of this tournament. You can bank on that.
And there he goes.
Yep.
What did I tell you? As if
That doesn't
conjured
surprise me.
in a dream, he appears like an apparition to fuck you up again, Mark. Mark.
That guy
Fucking
loves
Mark.
talking about himself.
He
To
doesn't
no
like
end.
you. He
Not at all.
No, he does
No.
not like. What did you do? Well, besides not talking about him, what did you do? I mean, did you do something else besides not talking to him?
No, he just he gets super defensive. I call it like I see it, and he doesn't agree with what I have to say. And because of
you're
that,
more biased. You're more biased than you realize. I tell you this all the time. This doesn't just happen in a vacuum. You notice he only told me to shut up because he was yelling about you not doing his work. I told you 100 times I'm sick and tired of picking up the tab on your bullshit behavior, Mark.
He did tell you to shut up.
I know, I don't like that at all.
It's like your best friend yelling at you.
Right. It's all good.
Oh
though.
man.
What a exciting moment there, though.
I mean, I like the fact that Derek Wolf brings a lot of entertainment to the crowd. He pisses everybody off.
I
But
mean,
Yeah, I mean, he's constantly mad. He's constantly angry. And I guess maybe that anger helps carry him into the IPW Grand Prix tournament, but I don't know. I don't know why he's so fixated on what I have to say. I mean, I know, we're calling the commentary for IPW, but it's him in these matches doing these things that I'm talking about. It's not me making up these fables, but I feel like maybe.
Are you done?
I think he is.
Okay. Let's get this straight right now. Josh Raymond is the brains and the heart. Terry Van Avery is the muscle. Derek Wolf is the money. And the reason he's mad at your franchise is because you and I are the voice. You understand that?
Yeah,
so
I completely get it.
Matters. And it's going to tell people to think certain things. And when you're impartial, like me, they get to make up their own decisions. But you don't know how to be impartial. So you piss them off, and then you go, oh, why is it mad? Why is it mad? Because you're not a professional.
Well then.
During Derek's matches.
Right.
Everything else is great. I don't know what your problem is during his matches. I'm done.
Right on. Okay, so we talked about you guys were training. So I want to ask you, do you think, I know the answer, but I want you to answer it anyways. It obviously has to help you in your commentary.
Yeah, no doubt.
How?
Yeah.
How do you think it helps you in your commentary?
Well, one, being a little bit better educated with moves, how to reverse out of them, how to put on a good performance for yourself, having good ring presence. This is something that takes a long time. There's a lot of people who've been doing it for a couple of years and haven't had a match yet. Right. It's definitely a skill set you have to have, and it takes a long time to really perfect it. And not only just perfect it, but also find your rhythm, find your groove. And we're in the infancy stages. At least I am. Davison's a little bit more advanced than myself because I took a break. But myself, I'm in the infancy.
Don't forget about my 2 weeks with Bastion Booger way back when.
Oh yes. Back in the day.
I went to Marquette. I went to Marquette in like 1999 and spent 2 weeks at a Thai boxing gym with Mike Shaw. R.I.P.
Yes, I know. Yeah.
Way back.
Yeah, way.
So that didn't benefit me at all when we got to training with Josh. Sorry to cut you off, Mark.
No, you're good. It not only helps because, you get to learn the moves a little bit better too, but you also get to study the way these wrestlers work because, again, there is so many different styles out there and everybody has got their own. And that's the beauty of it is you get to not only while you're learning and then you get to watch this and commentate on it, you're really just kind of absorbing everything you're seeing. And the fact that we get to work with the best indie talent really around really does help. And it is very inspiring to see like, these guys were right where you're at right now. And now they're just killing it. Right. It's not just getting more comfortable with the moves and understanding them, but it's the ideology behind, okay, you're watching these guys do what they do. They're super talented, take what they're showing you in the ring and, bring it into the ring when you're training and think, okay, how can I do something different than nobody else is doing? Right. And just seeing that creativity, I think really helps.
Absolutely.
I can tell you from my perspective, the training I think people get desensitized because we see the same things happen in wrestling so often, like just the little stuff, like hitting the ropes or falling off the top turnbuckle or something. We go, oh, big deal. Then you do it.
Yeah.
So to me, it really reminded me to like get out of that like brainwash zone. Right. And it has affected my commentary. Like I have made calls where I go, he just clipped the top of his head off the second rope on his way down to the first one. That shit hurts.
Yeah.
Right. It does affect, I think, some of the moving parts of how we do commentary. It's also interesting because we're both a little bit older. I don't know, like the average age of people in wrestling. Like I'm 45. Mark, you're in your what, mid-30s, early 30s?
Yeah, mid-30s.
Yeah. So we probably got like 50 years of wrestling fandom between the two of us. And so like coming into it, we've talked about it a bunch. I think without even meaning to, we accidentally fell into like a Jesse gorilla kind of vibe with commentary.
Right.
Awesome.
Awesome.
I don't know. And I think
And
that kind of like sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and you know, at the end of the day, too, it does give you a bigger appreciation for what you're seeing, because it is not something that anybody can just get in there and do.
Right.
You one small thing and you're toast.
Right.
For real.
You know, I do what I do here. You know, I have the YouTube channel and I'll film matches, put that out. We'll talk about results. We talk about the shows coming up. So people, we get that information out there. That's the premise of the show. Get the information out there so that the people here in Michigan know what's going on in the world of independent wrestling. And I am not trained. I have never been trained. I've never stepped in a ring as far as to be trained or anything like that. But I have been able to see behind the curtain a little bit. Not necessarily something I want to do, but with what I do, it kind of happens sometimes. Do you feel now that, because obviously you started out as a fan, everybody starts out as a fan, right?
Yeah.
Do you feel like that it ruined you a little bit as a fan, or do you feel like it's only made it even more, like even better for you?
Oh, I see. Are you talking about like how a lot of wrestlers will say they don't watch wrestling because they wrestle?
Yes.
For me, I'm a lifer, man. Like basically all I do is watch wrestling, play wrestling games, think about wrestling, commentate wrestling, wrestle. Like not for me. If anything, it's giving me more of a reason to watch because I'm doing research.
Okay. I like it.
Personally.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great answer.
And another thing too, you know, I used to dick around with my friends in high school and we had a backyard federation from 99 till 2006. And
Bad
that
boy,
was, well, that was just friends being friends and living their best life, you know, and I'm glad we did too, because we lost some people and, you know, not during it, but afterwards. And, you know, the thing that really hit me and really made me feel like, man, this is amazing. Cause this is what I wanted to do back in high school. You know, when we train, the first thing that they teach is like, okay, first and foremost, 10 holds, the 10 basic grapple holds. And you learn how to do every one of them, how to escape every one of them and reverse into that same hold, escape it and reverse into one of the other 10 holds, how to chain out of one hold and chain into another one. And it's just getting that down and getting that down. So when you know that, and that's the first thing you learn, that's a great starting point. And so crossing that finish line and going, sweet, now you just perfect it. Now you work on it over and over. Then you move on to the next thing. And I feel like the more I'm learning, I'm getting even more excited about it, because I realized that this thing that almost seemed impossible to me when I was in high school is now a reality. And I told Tommy Vendetta about this a couple of weeks ago. We were talking on Facebook and I said, you know, 25 years ago, people looked at the indies and were like laughing at them. You know, you look at films like Beyond the Mat and they look at they find the worst absolute worst example to pull from. And it just looks like a terrible, pathetic life. And nothing could be further from the truth. These guys are literally living their dream. And people used to look down on that kind of stuff. Now, when you look at the stuff that is happening in the world of in sports entertainment, you know, you really get a feel for like, man, the action really is in independent wrestling. And that's where you find guys who are really hungry to make a living out of this. So the script is completely changed, where back then you're like, God, I want to get to WWE. Now it's like, God, I want to make that show on the east side of the state. You know, I really want to make that. And I have, and just because watching wrestling and supporting these guys is so huge. And, you know, it's really where it's at. That's what I'm most excited for. When I see show flyers from anywhere in Michigan, I get really excited because these guys are busting their ass, you know?
I'm really excited right now because everything's opening back up.
Yeah.
And I have a goal. You know, everybody's got to have goals. I don't give a shit what you do in life, but if you don't have goals, you're just treading water. And what's your purpose? I have no idea. But anyways, if you don't have goals in life, but with what I do here in Rasslin Rage and MIW with my co-hosts and stuff, we have a goal. We want to go to every promotion in the state of Michigan at some point in time. Not necessarily all in one day, but hey, we want to.
Yeah, no doubt.
We do want to do that, and to see all these different promotions, I've been to a good portion of them so far, but
yeah,
to be able to see how everything's done, like everybody does something a little bit different, and the action and. You might see Tommy Vendetta over here, and that it might be one kind of Tommy Vendetta, but then you go see him over here, and that's a different Tommy Vendetta. You know what I mean? And it's same thing goes with every guy or girl. We can't leave them out either. So, and I really enjoy watching these guys. And now I've seen some of these guys, like for instance, Weaponized Alex Weir, Billy Ray Daniels, Cyrus Satine. I've seen those three guys come right out of their school. Right from infancy until their first matches, right into now where they're at now. And so now I'm following these guys' careers and I'm interested and I'm buying merch. And the same goes for all the other guys that I see through the state, like Aaron O'Ryan, Tommy Vendetta, Jason Page, Eli Shelton, and I can go on and on and on and on and on. And it's like with indie wrestling, it's once you go to a show, and it doesn't matter where it's at. It does. Let's say it does. You don't want to go to some podunk motherfucker, but you know what I'm saying? you go to a good show, and it pulls you in, and once it's got you, that's it. That's it. You know what I mean? And I think IPW is one of those ones, too. I haven't been able to go see, but from what I hear, from what I see on the YouTube channel, you guys got a legit thing going on. The first thing I said to myself is like, I seen the graphics, not so much like for the tournament you guys got going on, and then I heard your review, and I'm like, dude, this is legit.
I feel like IPW is a product. It is a promotion, but everything that we're doing right now, I feel like we're the only ones in the state doing it. I think everybody's kind of doing their own thing, but and it's not to slam anybody else, because there's a lot of great promotions in Michigan that I've attended, that I've been a part of. And I just feel like I feel very lucky that I get to express myself the way that I'm comfortable and confident doing, and that I have such a big digital hand in what we get to do. It just makes it that much more fun. And you're right. I think, IPW is just doing something different. And it's a mesh of different personalities, and luckily we're given that avenue to express ourselves and be who we are.
Absolutely.
Cody, you were saying that you watch some people like their fledgling careers from infancy as they go. Our version of that from over here would be like, Josh runs his training school, and that's where we go. But a lot of the names you'll hear from people on our shows are also people he has trained, or at least had a hand in training. Derek Wolf, Big Ray Torres. Got a soft spot for LaDon Sanders. I'm trying to nurse him back to mental health, but that's an example of a guy who a lot of people outside of our area may not know a lot about. But if you trace him backwards through IPW, there's a year and a half, one coherent storyline attached to LaDon and to Felix and to Josh. Like, I know a lot of promotions are almost like, I was telling Mark, like I used to tour in bands and stuff. And so to me, there's a real parallel between being in a band and needing good venues, and then being an independent wrestler and needing good promotions, right?
I can see that. Absolutely.
And I think sometimes with indie wrestling, some of them act more like federations and stories, and some of them act more like venues. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not disrespecting it, but like people come through, they put on a show, the next people come through, they put on a show. We really focus on like, here's our universe of stuff. Here's these characters, here are these long storylines. Here's the vignettes, here's the promos. Like, yeah, we just wanted to fully encapsulate the whole thing.
And because we're in independent wrestling, obviously you're going to have some new faces rolling in. So that's why we try to do our best to get, past information on them, to bring people who do follow IPW up to date on who this is and why it's such a huge deal that they are there. Because again, if they're in IPW, if they're wrestling in IPW, there's a pretty good reason for it. And I've said this over and over again is I've never seen one match that has bored me in IPW history. Even going back before we started working with them, we knew that this was a fun product that was right here where we live, and how unique, that it happens to be run by a dude who is very, very respected. I will say though, if the goal is to get to all the promotions and check them out, there's 2 shows coming up next month. Obviously the show to crown the new IPW champion is going to be happening. And if I'm not mistaken, it's going to be a one event. It's going to be the entire tournament is going to run in. Yeah, it's basically WrestleMania 4.
Yeah.
Is how it's going to run. The tournament is going to be in one night. I think there'll probably be one match in there that isn't for the tournament. And then there is another event next month that we have yet to announce that's just going to shake the foundations of independent wrestling. It is going to be amazing. And I'm very excited for the IPW management to announce it, because it's going to be freaking awesome.
Right.
So
It truly is. And we're not even being like hyperbolic about it.
Mm-hmm.
I've been watching wrestling since 1983. And I don't know, especially in indie, I don't know if I've ever seen anything quite like what we're going to do. It's going to be hilarious. And
Awesome.
I don't even know what
That is
you'll
awesome.
see.
That's awesome. I really think that's great. Earlier we talked about the East Side, West Side in Michigan here. And for a while there, I didn't know that there was any wrestling over on that side of the state. And then now we got IPW. There's 2 other ones that I know of that are maybe a little bit further up but they're still on the west side. But now it's starting to pick up over there, and that's awesome. Not, because there's competition or anything like that, but at least now other people are getting to experience all that there is in indie wrestling. I can't wait to get out there to IPW though. I know my co-host Dan talks to Josh quite a bit, which by the way, I got to get with you here. All right. So we're having Josh, I'm talking to you, buddy. All right. Listen. All right. So listen, we want to give your results out, bro. That's all we want to do. Give us your results, dude.
Oh,
that's it.
problem solved.
Right. See, so that's why I'm glad I got you guys here. And I told Dan, I was like, listen, you need to reach out to these 2 people right here, and these 2 people will make sure that you're taken care of.
yeah, absolutely. And again, that's what the Insider is all about too, for people who missed the event, because we usually debut the event, and then a couple of days leading up to the event, we actually have another Insider coming out today, and may actually have already been posted.
I think it already dropped. Yeah.
Did it? Okay, cool. Yeah, because we just completed that today. But yeah, that is super important. Again, and communication is key. I mean, this is what I freaking do for a living, but it is vital, because again, it's not like a East-West side kind of thing, but there is a big conglomerate of independent wrestling promotions on the east side of the state, and there's very few on the west side. Like, we're, other than Mr. Chainsaw, but that's in Kalkaska. That's like
up
2 hours and 15 minutes, like 2.5 hours north. Mm-hmm. So I mean, we've basically got the entire west side of the state covered. So it is a little difficult.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, it is a little bit difficult, but again, things became apparent to us that this was a serious thing when we saw that they were coming to the Y Bar again, because, just like you, we didn't even have any idea that this was happening. And it really just began taking off when Josh and Terry started working together. Right. That's when, with Terry's background and what Terry's ambitions are for the future, talking with Josh, I think they met very much eye to eye, and they were like, we can make this happen. They provided the facility. Josh had the talent to come in. And really, with every event, I feel all of us collectively have learned from the last event, and it's just becoming tighter and tighter and tighter. And I'm having a lot more fun watching these events one after another, because there's something for everybody. It looks good. It feels good. It sounds good. And it's a fun crowd. Like, it really is. The IPW fans are so awesome.
That's great.
can I address really quickly? And I agree, we're not trying to push any kind of east side, west side, like nobody needs to get shot here.
right. No, we're good. No, we're good.
Nobody's gonna get biggied.
No, we're good. We're
Right.
good.
But I was gonna say, God damn, I distracted myself. There was that thing, like, I don't know, there's a series of things that were happening in the Detroit wrestling circles a handful of weeks ago, a month ago.
Yeah.
And that was when we really kind of woke up to like, we know a lot of the people involved that come and go from the companies. And we saw some releases from like Effie saying he was done working in certain places with certain people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know all of it. There's some stuff.
Right.
But all we kept seeing, and this is how we started having the conversation, we didn't see that all those posts about drama being from East Side Michigan. People just kept saying Michigan, Michigan, Michigan. And we were like, we're not doing that, man. That's not us.
Right.
Like, so yeah, it just made us realize, like, we knew like there's a distinction between the sides. But that narrative, when people talk about Michigan, like just when I was a musician, people say Michigan music, they mean Detroit. And I think that's where we were like, let's at least try to get people to realize there is a lot more in Michigan than just the Detroit area.
Right. And that's where that at least you guys recognize what you have to do. Like okay, so like you said, you see this is what's going on over here, and we're being affiliated with it, not because we're over there, but because we're in Michigan. How do we do that? And I get that. That's awesome.
And there's, I was gonna say, and there's even people on the west side too that get caught up in that nastiness, even though they have nothing to do with it.
Right.
You know, so it's not fair for them either.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to tell everybody that's watching right now, or maybe listening, or whatever they may be doing later, or what have you. Forged in Fire takes place on Saturday, June 12th. It's the Performance Field House. That's in Paw Paw.
Yeah.
Paw Paw. Man, talk about a heck of a name for a city, man. I tell you what, Paw Paw.
It's also a fruit. Native American name, sir.
Yeah.
It's also a fruit.
Yeah, well, it's awesome. And so Josh was saying that on the show the other day. He's like, man, where is Paw Paw? I have to go there. You know, just by the name alone, it sells itself. I'm like, let's go. Like hell, Michigan, got to go. You know,
right.
But yeah, so that's taking place there. And I know you guys have another one coming up on June 27th.
Yep.
And
that's absolutely true.
And now, is that going to be at the same place?
No, this one's actually
Grand Rapids.
Yeah, Grand Rapids.
We're just outside, like a suburb outside of Grand Rapids.
What, you guys doing a whole tour of the West Side now, or what?
We are trying to.
We own the West Side. What do you want?
We're definitely trying to expand as much of the area as possible. That's Road to Glory.
Nice. And that's where Jimmy Jacobs is going to be.
Yep, Jimmy Jacobs is going to be there, and basically we're going to be getting ready for that IPW Grand Prix tournament, and which is going to be exciting because we're going to give guys a little break because, like I said, after Forged in Fire, we're going to have the tournament set up. We'll know who's facing Ren Jones, giving them an event to prepare for it, and then we haven't announced the official date and time and place for that one, but it will happen in early July for sure.
July. Good old.
I haven't memorized the bracket, but I mean, there are some potential dream matches among those people.
Absolutely.
I would love to see Tommy Vendetta and Orion wrestle each other. Never seen that.
Oh yeah.
There wouldn't be a storyline reason for it, and they would never do it otherwise. I think that'd be really cool.
Don't need it.
Josh Raymond has over 2 years of bad blood with Orion, and if they cross each other's paths in the tournament, not only is he finally getting his bad blood, but he's been trying to chase him down to get the Michiana title back.
Dude,
there's like a lot of moving parts.
When they wrestled each other for the Michiana title at high stakes, Ryan threw a ladder right into Josh's face, and dude bled, like had to go to the hospiel after the show. Like he lost so much blood. Yeah, it was, and that was my first experience. I was like,
sold.
Dope. I was like,
yeah. 2 feet from the ring, we're like,
that's what's up. I know. Sold. I was just like, wow. That was awesome. I was like, there's no games. So right. Yeah, Road to Glory is actually at the one in Grand Rapids is Sunday, June 27th, and that's at I think it's Battle GR is the name of the place. It's on Dodge.
Okay.
So it's technically in Comstock Park to be
Comstock
to be
Park.
Exact. So
right.
yeah.
Well, I do want to say thank you so much for joining me, you guys. I don't know, like, do you both have a career in radio? Because you guys are so very well spoken, like 6 times better than myself here, obviously. But you guys you're both very well spoken, and I'm gonna have to go get a dictionary with some of your guys' commentary just so I can know the words because they're big words.
Well,
we're the most high IQ commentary team in the fucking world. I'm a literal psychologist, and he's yeah.
Yeah, and I've been pursuing this career. This is my 10th year. So, and I'm the digital managing editor actually for the market out here. So I actually digitally manage 6 brands across 2 cities, Battle Creek and Kalamazoo. So just as fans of wrestling and you know, we met because we've got tons of mutual friends back on the east side of the state through hardcore bands out there. And it was just instant wrestling knowledge. And that's why we started the podcast. And you know, I think an important thing as well is to remember is, like, we talked about this quite a bit, is that inclusion in wrestling is an absolute must. That's one thing that, again, I will say about IPW and working with Josh is that immediately when we brought things up, he was right on track with us that inclusion is the most important thing in wrestling, because you've got a lot of this old school mentality in wrestling still. And I said it a couple of weeks ago, like, wrestling is not for hillbillies anymore. It should be for everybody.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
that's something we try to come across, not only with commentary and IPW, but even on our podcast as well. Yeah, that's what we try to do. We want to include everyone. We don't want to exclude everyone. We don't want to make an example out of one group. You know, wrestling is for everybody. It should be enjoyed by everybody. It's honestly the funnest thing you can do.
Absolutely.
I was never more excited. This is like a tiny little piece of like personal politics or whatever, but so I'm a transgender person. And so when Nyla Rose won the title in AEW, I just went, wow, that's the only reason I decided to train. Right. Because, like, I would have never dreamed that would be a possibility. Right. You know?
Yeah.
It's just in the last couple of years, like seeing Effie, you know, like seeing openly queer Sonny Kiss wrestle. Right. You know, it's just like the world is too big and there are too many people, and we've had too many, like, and I hope I'm not stepping, this isn't you, Cody, I'm talking about whoever, but like, I'm personally tired of like getting on social media. I want to go to wrestling sites and talk to people who like wrestling, not have to wade through people who just want to shit talk wrestling all the time. Right. Yeah. So it's like our product is really more of that kind of like love letter to wrestling, as opposed to that like cynical all the time. Yeah, you know? Absolutely. I get tired of that. I get
it's like something you said to me. It's like, don't punch down. You know, everybody in their own right is dealing with something, and taking shots at people and attacking them personally. It's just like, dude, like, you don't know what someone else is going through or what they've been through. And they like to blanket things and act like they know. But it's like, no, man, everybody's got their own struggles. Everyone's had their own battles. Everyone is incredibly unique in more ways than you could ever imagine. And wrestling should be something that unifies people, not tear each other apart. You don't have to agree with anything, but you also don't have to say something about it. You can keep it to yourself and just appreciate the fact that, hey, it doesn't matter what their differences are. Fact is, we love wrestling, and that's what we're here for. So let's enjoy it. Let's talk about it, and let's have that bond us together. Right.
Well, you know, and I agree with you on all of that. But if people want to continue to be hateful, we have no room for you. That's the way I say it. Yeah. That's the way I say it, because I don't want none of that shit. You know what I mean?
Exactly. It's played out, man. It's played out. It's been played out.
Right. It's time. We're 2021. It's time to move on, ladies and gentlemen. It is time to grow the fuck up.
Sorry, Cornette.
Yeah, fuck that guy. Fuck that guy. Anyway.
You know what I forgot? Holy shit. I mean, we're talking to a dude from the east side of the state. He probably doesn't know the match that just got announced for our show this weekend. It just got announced.
What?
Our tag team champions are gracefully chosen. They're out of the House of Truth from Detroit.
I know them.
They made a challenge, and it's already been answered. They will be facing your boys, the Monroes.
Oh.
Yep.
Hey,
Yeah,
Got that
and they're
match
former
this Saturday.
IPW tag champions too. They're
those dudes. Those dudes.
Dude.
Yeah.
That's all.
yeah, absolutely.
DBA. They if I could have another dad, DBA would be him.
Dude is awesome.
Dude,
He
I
really
love
is cool.
DBA, and and I'm gonna tell you exactly why, and it's part of the reason. Like when I go to XICW, I feel at home.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm part of the family. I feel like I'm part of them. I'm white as white can get, but I feel like I'm just like them.
You
know?
are white.
Right? Yeah,
Holy crap!
I just feel. I just love it. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
they don't make me feel any different.
That's how they come across. It comes across as a very low key promotion, and even himself too. Not with XICW, but in another promotion that I briefly worked for out there. He was a part of both shows, and it was so freaking cool.
Mhm.
It was so cool to meet that dude and to be able to work with him. A lot of other talent that's still out there working. So, but guys I haven't seen in
That
it's
gracefully
been going on
chosen,
5
though.
years. Oh my gosh, so good, so good.
Dude,
I don't even.
before pandemic. They look amazing now.
I just don't like the one guy looks like Cyrus Sattini says he's got Batman abs. You know what I mean?
Oh, you're talking
Oh,
about
yeah,
Haseo.
Haseo,
Yeah, he's
Shaman
got
of the future.
the dude's got like abs where abs aren't even supposed to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like what, dude? That's amazing.
What I can tell you is I don't mind counting his abs.
Right,
Got a bunch of them.
yeah, for sure.
He does. He does.
Now, I do want to tell everybody that you can follow IPW. They have all kinds of social media, right? They have a YouTube channel. Check all that stuff, right? Search
Instagram.
Yep.
Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. I mean,
Yeah.
it's everything,
All of-
right?
All of our stuff is on YouTube, and we've got a playlist too with all the events going back to Grave Danger, Warfare. Warfare actually features Alex Shelley, who came in. That was sweet. And then we've got, of course, High Stakes, Valor, Tough Luck, Trial by Combat, Pandemonium, and now Back on Track. So,
Right. And
a ton of events. You can follow them back. We got all the insiders are up there too. So.
Right. I'm gonna go back when I probably tomorrow I'll go back. I'm gonna add all the links in and do all that stuff and what have you. And any last words before we get out of here? Again, thank you for joining me. It's been an absolute honor. And again, I'm not trying to suck up, but I am really impressed with your not only your commentary, but with that review you guys did. I'm just like, man, this is legit. Like it's so professional that I'm like, dude, this makes me feel like I'm listening or watching something to do with a Fed, like a legit Fed, like the dub.
You are.
Well, not like
Yeah.
when I say I'm watching. It's still indie wrestling, but you know what I mean. When I think about it, I'm like, man, this sounds like some like fucking WWE, or you know what I mean?
No.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And again, it goes back to being excited about watching wrestling. And so when I, being a lifelong fan, when we talked about doing it, it was like, let's make this freaking awesome. How we would think it would be awesome. And that's really the best you can do when it comes to self-expression. And if other people can pick up on it, all the better. But it's really about just having fun and making it exciting, because it is exciting. It's very exciting. And these guys are risking their lives and their well-being to put on these shows. So we want to make them look the absolute best that we can, while being ourselves and having fun, because that's really what independent wrestling is all about.
Absolutely.
And so we appreciate you having us on and giving us time on your platform as well. So
Yeah. And if I could just have a moment to thank Josh Raymond. I don't think he'll probably watch this because he's very busy and has children. This sounds corny, but it's really true. He is helping make our dreams come true. Like we've dreamed of this forever. And he's like, you're good. Come on. He's just it's like a family in a way.
Yeah.
It really
so
feels that
easy
way.
to be around,
Yeah.
It's awesome.
easy to work with.
I'm,
So,
and I'm glad that you guys have found that. And not only that, I'm glad that IPW is back to it. And you guys, everybody's getting ready to have a monstrous summer with independent wrestling coming back. And man, what a time it is for indie wrestling, by the way. So
Indeed.
thank you to both of you for joining me. That
Yeah.
is Davison and this Mr. Mark right here. They call you the franchise. That's what they call. But the other guy doesn't think you're quite the franchise. But
See, he calls me the franchise. My name is Mark Franchise.
okay,
He doesn't get it though. He'll learn
right
in time.
Right.
We'll give him time. It's okay.
Well,
Something's gonna happen in time. It's gonna be you losing your fucking job. Because
Whoa!
you're the most
We'll see.
powerful man
We
in
will
wrestling.
yeah,
We
Mark?
will see.
we did have a surprise appearance by Derek Wolf, so go back and check that out. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight.
Thanks, man.
Thank you for everybody. Make sure you smash the thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't. You can also listen to this on Podbean within the next couple days. So we'll see everybody later. We're out of here. Oh, yeah, there is no Rasslin Rage Sunday because I'll be at XICW. Peace.